A news hour tonight. Uncertainty over Bayelsa Deputy Governor's health after sudden collapse. 8 Unijos students killed in road accident. Senate declares Fani Kayode, Omokri, Ikbazu, ex-INEC chair, others for ambassadorial positions. And on the foreign scene, the Congo crisis deepens as M23 rebels strengthen hold on strategic city. Good evening, this is News Hour on Trust TV. I am Chiamaka Wafo. Anxiety remains high across Bayelsa State on Thursday following reports that the Deputy Governor, Lawrence, collapsed in his office and was rushed to the Federal Medical Center, FMC Yenogwa. The incident, which occurred around 1:30 p.m., sparked immediate concern among government officials and members of the public. Sources say Lawrence has suddenly slumped while attending to official duties, prompting an emergency response from his aides and security personnel. He was initially taken to the hospital's emergency unit before being moved to the intensive care unit. Although no official confirmation has been given on the cause of the health scare, medical sources indicate that the situation may be linked to a possible cardiac emergency. The FMC premises quickly became crowded as top government officials, politicians and clerics trooped in to show solidarity and pray for his recovery. As at the time of filing this report, the Bayelsa state government had yet to issue a formal statement, leaving residents and stakeholders waiting anxiously for an update on the deputy governor's condition. On to other stories, no fewer than 8 students of the University of Jos have reportedly died, while 3 others were critically injured in a fatal accident involving a bus and a trailer on Zaria Road, Jos North Local Government Area, Plateau State. The crash occurred around 2 a.m. on Thursday as the students were returning from an event. The bus was carrying 11 students, according to Peter Yakubu Longson, FRC Superintendent and Route Commander for Public Education. Eyewitnesses told the FRC that excessive speed and reckless overtaking by the bus driver caused the accident. Sector Commander Olajide E. Morgaji warned motorists to avoid night trips, excessive speed, dangerous driving, and driving while fatigued or under the influence, noting these factors are major contributors to road fatalities.
Yes, sir. This is actually the bus that the student of the University of Jos got accident last night. God have mercy. God have
Quite a sad one there. Now, a reporter in the state, Adomusa, is joining us via phone call to give us an update. Good evening, Adomusa.
Good evening, Chiamaka.
Quite a very sad story we've just read, but would you have an update for us on the situation?
Some minutes before the news hour, one of the students called me to also confirm that the death toll has been tonight. If you could remember, we reported that 8 persons were killed during the incident. So at the moment, the death toll is as reading tonight. We have 9 persons at the moment who were killed as a result of the incident. The Vice Chancellor of the university has also come out to sympathize with the family. The Student Union government of the university has also come out to also sympathize with the family, and the state government as well has also come up to also sympathize with the family. So they all call on the student to remain calm and then remain united, and also ask students to continue to pray for the souls of those who lost their lives during the incident.
Have you been able to speak to any family members of the deceased or even those who have been injured?
Yes, I spoke to one of the victims who survived the accident. I asked him how the incident occurred. So he narrated that the students, or rather, we are coming, they were returning to the hotel after attending what they call as a welcome back party, that is for the returning students. So there were two buses. They were just moving like in a convoy. One is in front, while the other one is following the one in front closely behind. So when the driver of the one that was following from behind tried to overtake the one in front, unfortunately he couldn't, so he had to fell back to his lane, and unfortunately the trailer hit their bus, and as a result, virtually 9 or 8 persons were killed in the incident. So that was what one of the survivors narrated to us. And then I also spoke to one of the relatives of the victims, who also told me that this is something that they have not even expected, considering that this person who was also one of the deceased was young, and this is somebody that has been also planning to also achieve his dream, but unfortunately he died. So they say it was something that they have not expected, but they have nothing to do but to also accept it in a good faith.
All right, thank you so much, Ademusa, for the update of the accident in Plateau State. Now we'll go over to Adamawa State, where the Lamrude crisis has again raised concern about recurring communal violence in the area. The latest clash left residents displaced, property destroyed, and tension high across the local government. After a security meeting with all service heads and the paramount rule of the Bachama chiefdom, the Deputy Governor, Professor Kaleptua Farota, said the state had opened a full investigation to understand what keeps fueling these repeated outbreaks. She says the government is worried that the violence keeps returning despite earlier interventions. She asked the affected groups to step back from retaliation and prioritize peace. Security agencies are maintaining presence in the area and continue to track developments. The 24-hour curfew on Lamrude remains in force as part of efforts to stop further escalation.
As at today, there's calmness in Lamrude local government. People are going about their businesses, even though there's a curfew. And the curfew is still ongoing to ensure that peace is restored. And to let our people know that the task force that is made up of all security agencies are still on ground in Lamrude. No single agency has been withdrawn from Lamrude local government. So all the security agencies with their different uniforms and different names that make up the task force are fully on ground in Lamrude local government. And a lot of reinforcement has been done to ensure that the entire ground is dominated. This is to ensure that our people go about their normal businesses, that our people are protected, that our people are preserved, so that we can continue to live as one big family.
Go to the happenings of the day on the floor of the Senate, where the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs has screened several high-profile nominees for ambassadorial appointments. On Thursday, former ministers Femi Fani-Kayode and Abdurrahman Dambazo were among those vetted. Both previously served as Minister of Aviation and Minister of Interior, respectively. Other nominees included former INEC Chairman Yakub Mahmood, Reno Mokri, and Florence Ajimobi, widow of the late Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi. Here's more in this report.
After brief introductions, nominees were asked to take a bow and leave, following Senate tradition. The procedure is reserved for those with established records of public service, a point defended by Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele. The screening, conducted in batches of 5, was not without drama. During Omokri's turn, Senators Mohammed Ali Ndume and Adams Oshomole disagreed over the clearance process. Ndume moved a motion to allow the nominees to bow and leave, while Oshomole sought to comment.
And here I will proudly say I was a governor, which is a head of a subnational government. And so when I talk, those who are not the governors should listen.
Governors come to Senate.
You have to have,
Governors, you struggle to.
Your Excellency, you have to have that large hand.
Become a senator.
You have to have, for me, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has showed a rare quality.
Committee Chairman Senator Abubakar Sani Bello recognized Oshomole, but Ndume insisted the motion be seconded before further debate, sparking a rowdy exchange on the floor.
Senator Ndume, are you opposed to Omekri's nomination? No. Senator Oshomole, are you opposed to the nomination?
I have seconded it over and over 100%.
So you're on the same page?
You're on the same page. I say another to put the question.
The Special Colleagues, a motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The cleared nominees now await final ratification by the full Senate in plenary.
As the holiday season approaches, Nigeria's House of Representatives is taking steps to address rising airfares and strengthen oversight of key national institutions. During the week's final plenary, presided over by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, lawmakers focused on soaring domestic air travel costs affecting millions of Nigerians preparing for Christmas. Here's more.
Obi Agwacha urged the federal government to prioritize foreign exchange allocations for airlines at concessionary rates. The House also called for a 50% reduction in aviation charges, taxes and levies during the holiday, warning that high fares threaten family ties, cultural connection and even security.
Concerned that the insatiable pursuit of profit should not come at the expense of life, security and cultural bounds that define us as Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, cognizant that by temporarily reducing fares during this critical period, it will demonstrate a commitment to social responsibility and national solidarity.
Some lawmakers backed the motion, while others stressed the need for better roads and improved security to reduce over-reliance on air travels.
Landing cost has been increased, parking has been increased, even staying on the air, because we don't have a full total radar coverage. Every aircraft now today in Nigeria uses its dashboard to get a landing permission. Our total radar coverage in Nigeria does not completely operate fully 100%. And because of the security threats that we have, airlines have to be diverted to stay on the air for a very long time. And that consumes fuel for them. So I would want to suggest that, as my colleague has said, we should as well call on the aviation authorities to reduce the cost.
Severally, we have raised motions that our roads be repaired, because I believe that if our roads are fixed very well, fewer people would fly. So we should urge the Ministry of Works to fix the roads so that our travelers will have an alternative. If the roads are fixed and are very well motorable, I'm sure fewer people will fly, then the airlines will not be taking advantage of travelers.
We need more regulation that will stimulate the private sector to come in and invest more. If they do that, the supply will outstrip demand and the prices will fall.
To reduce the airport and other auxiliary charges by 50% during the festive period only.
Okay, one further amendment on that amendment. Any seconder to that? It's a further amendment on the amendment.
Only, sir. Thank you.
The House also called for a transparent system to assess airlines' minimum operational costs during the festive season to prevent arbitrary ticket hikes.
Over in Gombe State, the police command has welcomed the recent court ruling affirming its authority to enforce the restriction on motorcycle operations within the state capital. But the plaintiff, who challenged the policy, says he will appeal in a bid to restore the rights of Gombe residents. From Gombe, Hassan Lawan Koli tells us more.
Earlier this month, the Federal High Court in Gombe delivered judgment in the case filed by Barrister Abubakar Usamatu, who cautioned the powers of the police command to enforce the motorcycle restriction order. Speaking to Trust TV, Police Public Relations Officer DSP Buhari Abdullahi said the command is satisfied with the judgment.
Prior to this restriction, there was a series of complaints to the police that motorcycle snatchers and killers, the incidents are in very high level, which lead to the enforcement of that restriction on the 12th of June 2025. So, and the court judgment is because we are doing good. After enforcement of this restriction, believe me, not a single day we record anything like motorcycle snatching or killing of motorcyclists and other dangerous related offenses here within the metropole.
But reacting to the ruling, the plaintiff maintained that the judgment is not a victory for the police, insisting the court did not fully appreciate the substance of the case. He says he is already preparing an appeal.
And fortunately and unfortunately, the court haven't had all our responses from both sides. That is my own side and the side of the Commissioner of Police. It finally ruled that my application to challenge the action and conduct of the Commissioner of Police is not backed by law, or there's no evidence to back my position. That's her own ruling, and she delivered her judgment, striking out, dismissing the application for lacking in merit per se. And as of our last next option is that we have since initiated the application requesting the copy of the judgment, so as to go through and peruse them and identify the areas that we feared the court was wrong. So we are appealing against the decision, so as to go to the higher, that is the Court of Appeal, to see their own wisdom too over our dispute before the court.
Barrister Usamatu further argued that the Commissioner of Police lacks the legal authority to enforce such restrictions. However, the police spokesperson insists the policy was introduced in the interest of public safety and not to victimize any group. The leadership of the Gombe State Commercial Motorcycle Riders Association says it has recorded some security gains since the restriction began. For the first 6 months of this restriction, we have not recorded any case of motorcycle snatching or killing of our members, which often happen during night hours. It is indeed a milestone in security angle. But other motorcycle riders across the city say the policy, though helpful in reducing crime, has created economic hardship.
Magana ta domin Allah wannan kan haka ne, an samu sauki wajen ɓace mashin da dare, amma har ga Allah, amma ai wahalan ta yi yawa.
It protects us from criminal-minded elements. However, it's paralyzing our business, and the government has to consider our plight and review the policy. For now, the police-enforced motorcycle restriction is in its 6th month, and residents are waiting to see whether the policy will be reviewed, relaxed, or lifted. Hassan Lawan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
You're still on to News Hour on Trust TV. When we return from the break, we'll take a look at Amir Wule accusing Fubara of lying, reigniting fresh political crisis in Rivers State. The story a moment we return from the break. To stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that uncertainty over Bayelsa Deputy Governor's health after a sudden collapse. And we also told you that 8 Unijos students, or rather 9 Unijos students, have been killed in road accident. Now we're circling back to our earlier story on the Bayelsa State Deputy Governor Lawrence Ihiru Japo, who collapsed today. And joining us virtually to give us an update on the situation is our correspondent in the state, Friday Ibimoboy Peters. Good evening, Friday.
Yeah, good evening.
Currently, what can you tell us is the situation and the health status of the deputy governor?
Okay, the situation here in Bayelsa, as you can see, I'm right here in front of the FMC, and during about 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon, the deputy governor was rushed to this hospital. As of then, I was there, right there in my presence as an eyewitness. That is all I can say for now, because there is no official statement from the state government yet to do. I contacted the Bayelsa State Commissioner for Information, but she promised to get back to me, but up till now, there is no response from her. Then I also reached out to the press secretary to the governor, and him, as usual, he advised that I should wait for official statement from the state government, rather. These were his words. So I'm still standing on that. So believing, waiting for the state government to come up with a statement. Thank you.
All right, what can you tell us? First of all, thank you so much for the update, but what can you tell us about the atmosphere at the hospital where you are currently?
Yeah, the atmosphere here in the Federal Medical Center is is quiet. It's quiet. Nothing is happening for now. Everywhere is quiet. I don't know if it's because of the strike. I don't know. But for now, the environment is quiet.
Have you been able to speak to any relatives or close associates to the deputy governor?
No, I have not. But I reached out to colleagues of mine from different media stations, of which they said reach out to some of the media aides, which they cannot disclose the name. But when he puts a call across, he heard them crying on the phone. That is all he had.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Friday. We'll wait until the official statement from the state government is released, and then we'll know the true position of things or the health status of the deputy governor.
Pardon?
We'll get the statement from the government. Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
Moving on to other stories. In recent times, several African countries, including Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, and most recently Benin Republic, have experienced coups or attempted takeovers. This has raised growing concerns about the significance of democracy on the continent. Our correspondent in Benue State sampled public opinion in Makurdi, the state capital, on the implications of military takeovers in Africa for development.
Nigeria, often described as the giant of Africa, is the most populous country in the continent, with over 200 million people. It is a major player in African politics, economy, and culture. From cultural exports like Afrobeat and Nollywood to significant oil reserves and economic influence, Nigeria is a key partner for international organizations and countries engaging with Africa. As a member of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Nigeria also plays a leading role in regional peacekeeping and economic integration. The question is, what are the implications of military takeovers in Africa for Nigeria? Public opinion suggests that coups often result from bad governance, weak leadership, power tussles, and corruption.
An average Nigerian, for example, is even fed up of this democracy. Sorry to say. But if our leader can truly represent us, have our image at heart, and actually hack into our cause, our cries, I think we have a better Nigeria.
Others argue that democracy has little meaning in countries where coups are frequent.
If governance is in order, you won't see any threats anywhere. Peace will reign. The problem we are having at hand currently is grievances, either national, international. The grievances. When the people, even the Bible says, when the good ruler is on the throne, people rejoice. But when you discover that the rulers are compromising in some area that people are not benefiting, they are under threat.
As discussions continue, analysts call for solutions to mitigate the impacts of coups. Recommendations include stronger diplomatic engagement, increased regional cooperation, and economic diversification.
So the reason why there is a military takeover in some of these African countries today is because of our leaders have formed the lowest level. You understand? Under tinubu government, you and I know the truth. Nigerians are poorer than before. You understand? And you know that we have the resources that can take care of everybody. But we are not seeing it. But all we see is maybe them coming on you saying this, saying that, but the ordinary person, you and I are not feeling the impact of the government.
We are appealing to our Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has to sit up so that he cannot allow that coup to happen here in Nigeria. So our Nigerian politicians have to sit up to make those things that happen in other places not happen here in our Nigeria.
Experts emphasize that democracy can thrive only when governments ensure an independent judiciary, a free press, robust electoral commissions, and tackle corruption while enhancing civic engagement. Encouraging citizen participation, supporting civil society, and addressing regional and ethnic tensions are also key. At the current pace of government topplings in Africa, the continent's hopes of achieving global parity in development remain uncertain. There are news analysts say rest on both leaders and citizens to return to the drawing board and strengthen democratic governance.
Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar has met with his Beninese counterpart Olusegun Ajadibarka in Abuja to discuss regional security concerns following a recent attempted coup in Benin. Tugar noted that Nigeria and Benin share close ties, saying security in one country can quickly affect the other, stressing the need for coordinated regional action. Barker praised Nigeria's swift response and ECOWAS support, explaining that Nigerian troops provided precise aerial backup to neutralize coup plotters while minimizing civilian risk. He also called for a standby regional force to prevent future destabilization, highlighting the strong Nigeria-Benin cooperation that has restored stability in Benin.
We think that it was important to come and brief you about what happened in Benin a few days back. And as he rightly mentioned, I think it's really important. It was important for all of us within our community, and especially for the two leaders of Benin and Nigeria. So respectively, Their Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria and President Patrice Talon of Benin, to show clearly that, ECOWAS region is still an area where democracy prevails. This is very important, and we show that in our region, in our environments. We cannot accept those attempts to democracy.
In the aftermath of the failed coup in Benin, President Patrice Talon on Wednesday received a delegation from the Nigerian army. The delegation visited Cotonou to show solidarity and offer support to the Beninese armed forces in their efforts to contain the coup plotters. President Talon thanked Nigeria for its swift response and reaffirmed the need for stronger regional cooperation to safeguard democracy in West Africa. Now, Rivers politics has flared up again as the fight between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the State Assembly reopens. Hostilities picked up on Thursday after Speaker Martin Amaewhule accused Governor Fubara of spending state funds without proper oversight or appropriation. He told lawmakers that the governor approved major payments without sending any request to the assembly, calling it a breach of financial procedure. This latest accusation comes only days after Governor Fubara said he was ready to meet with the assembly to repair their strained relationship.
That the minister of the FCT, His Excellency the one so wicked, means well for River State. He wants peace. He wants the state to move forward. Let me also make it clear and inform Rivers people that within the pendency of the emergency rule, His Excellency the one so wicked also summoned a meeting of all the members of the Rivers Assembly. 27 of us were present in that meeting in the official residence of the FCT minister in Abuja. The governor was in that meeting. The governor sat with us. We had a meeting with the governor. All the members present were so shocked hearing the governor saying that no meeting has been called.
Away from that, Aliko Dangote has launched a 100 billion naira annual education support initiative in Lagos. The scheme will run for 10 years, bringing total investment to over 1 trillion naira. The program aims to widen access to education and strengthen human capital across Nigeria. Here's more in this report.
Across many countries, private philanthropy supports the gaps government cannot fill alone. Education often benefits the most, driven by people who understand its impact and want to pass it on. The Aliko Dangote Foundation has now taken on that responsibility by unveiling a 100 billion naira annual education program, a long-term investment that crosses the trillion naira mark over a decade. From 2026, the project will support 45,000 new scholarships each year. By the fourth year, annual beneficiaries will rise to 155,000. Over 10 years, 1,325,000 students are expected to benefit through the Aliko Dangote STEM scholarships program. The focus is on public universities and polytechnics. Each student will receive tuition support based on the institution and field of study across science, technology, engineering and mathematics. At the launch, Vice President Kashim Shettima said true greatness lies in lifting people, not accumulating wealth.
The legacy of Alhaji Aliko Dangote is a reminder that greatness is not measured by wealth. Greatness is measured by the number of lives one leads from the shadows into the light. We must learn from his example. We must also learn from philanthropists across the world. There is no legacy more enduring than giving another human being the chance to learn, to grow, and to live with dignity. Now is the time to recommit to building a future in which every Nigerian child has a fair shot at becoming the best version of themselves. Let us live our lives so that posterity will remember us not for the offices we held or the titles we bore. Posterity must remember us for the doors we open and the lives we transformed.
Aliko Dangote told journalists that a quarter of his personal wealth will go into the foundation's work. Other guests also shared their views on the education initiative.
It's going to actually involve almost everybody, and that's why what we are trying to do is to touch every single family in the country. We are going to do it by local governments, and the local governments that we have, each local government will have about the same amount. The only thing is that Lagos and Kano will get a highest allocation. We are spending the 1 trillion because we want to invest heavily in education, because that is human capital. The human capital of our nation cannot be compromised. And that's why we say that even after 5 years, we'll review it. And like what I said earlier on, this thing will be sustained for the future generations of the Dangote family. And that's the reason why now, I've already signed up with my family, for the future in the amount of, death. Everybody, we're all human beings. The 25% of whatever that I will leave behind will go to the foundation before it is shared to my, inheritors. So I think this one will give the foundation a very strong footing all whatever that we're doing, the foundation will end up having about 25% of the total wealth that I have.
The easiest way and the most potent way to break poverty is to educate a girl child. Once you do that, you've broken that cycle of poverty completely and forever.
And that's how we can indeed develop, this country. We can give the belief, ensure that not one child will be out of school, not one child will not be given an opportunity to create their own future.
The foundation says Nigeria's progress depends on the number of children who get a fair chance to learn. The 100 billion naira commitment, it says, is a long-term investment in the country's future, one that aims to give every child the opportunity to grow and contribute.
Caregivers carry the weight of conflict in Nigeria. They support children, the elderly, and the wounded in places where formal systems often fail. In many conflict-hit areas, caregiving depends on family ties, neighbors, faith groups, and volunteers. They work with little training, low resources, and high emotional stress. In this report, Noel Sampson focused on areas of interest as stakeholders deliberate on existing gaps in the system.
The concern for caregiver welfare formed the backdrop of a public conversation in Abuja, where stakeholders from security, academia, and traditional institutions highlighted the need to support caregivers and recognize their impact. The conversation grew from themes explored in Brigadier General Dele Tajuddin Alabode's new book, The Humanity in Caregivers. Speakers repeatedly pointed to three issues: the growing pressure on caregivers in conflict-prone states, the absence of structured government support, and the need for policy that protects and trains caregivers.
Many of us don't even give attention to their role, not to talk of even their importance. And these people, especially in conflict areas or crisis areas, these are the people that support the downtrodden, those people that are badly affected by conflicts.
Caregivers are quiet heroes around us. They stand with people in their most difficult moments. They bring comfort where there is pain. They offer strength where there is weakness. They give hope when it feels like hope is lost.
As a nation, we are realizing the gaps that we need to fill. And this particular book launch informs our commitments and dedication towards addressing every issues bedeviling this country.
This book is coming at a time when our country and indeed the world continues to face emergencies ranging from insecurity to health challenges, substance abuse crisis, natural disasters, and community displacement.
Academic insight came from Professor Ishaya Soni, who linked caregiver well-being to national stability, noting how emotional, fatigue, trauma, and burnout weaken their ability to support communities.
The Humanity in Caregivers is a profound and inspiring book that highlights the hearts, spirits, and selfless dedication of caregivers who serve humanity in times of crisis. The book captures the essence of caregiving, not just as duty.
The author, Brigadier General Olabode, said caregivers hold fragile communities together and must not be treated as afterthoughts.
So when you have seen it and you are seeing gaps, that post I heard made me to be exposed to this kind of disposition some of our people used to have towards situation. This is really where vulnerable people are involved. So then you see diversion of relief items and all that or whatnot. It's because they don't understand what the care recipients lack.
Caregivers in conflict zones protect children from long-term psychological damage, provide structure where families are displaced, and act as first responders long before formal agencies arrive. Their presence often determines how fast a community recovers. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Gunmen reportedly attacked herders on Wednesday evening in Plateau State, rousting a total of 168 cattle across Barikin Ladi and Jos East local government areas. Ibrahim Yusuf Babayo, state chairman of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, confirmed that 137 cattle were taken in Barikin Ladi and 34 in Jos East, though 3 have since returned. Babaye said the herders fled after the gunmen opened fire and called on security agencies, including the DSS, Operation Enduring Peace, and the police to track down the attackers. However, the Biram Youth Molders Association have denied that any rustling occurred, describing the claims as false and potentially designed to intimidate the local community. The Army, through Lieutenant Colonel Aliyu Danja, Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations 3rd Division, said the incident would be reported to the Sector Commander and Intelligence Department for further investigation. Stakeholders from government, development agencies, civil society and the private sector are advocating support for girls' education and reduction of child marriage in northern Nigeria. A landmark partnership expected to reshape policy direction and funding for adolescent girls across the region. Tante Azal reports.
Key federal ministries in partnership with international organizations showcased new evidence proving that large-scale investment in girls' education and efforts to curb early marriage will yield major social-economic benefits for families, communities, and the nation. Speakers stressed that empowering girl child is central to national development.
We have increased enrollment of girls child in our schools. So I was asked, what did we use in the state, or what made that achievement possible? So I tried to explain that because we engage the community and religious leaders through advocacy and community sensitization, we were able to treat influential community and religious leaders. Religious leaders are actually important because they preach to the people the importance of girl child education. And because the religion actually does not prohibit girl child education, so it's important for people to know. In fact, it's incumbent upon them from the religious point of view to allow the girl child to enroll in schools.
Habiba Muhammad from the Center for Girls Education noted that girls are increasingly motivated to attend school, especially as they recognize the value of learning and the opportunities it brings.
Our girls to use their voices to speak to the policymakers and tell them what they want. We believe in the slogan, nothing for us without us, and no girl should be left behind. The importance of girls' education, why they want education, why they want to be educated before getting married, and why they believe that education is a right and not a privilege. And for us, working with government, if you are able to get governments that have the political will, then everything is easy.
Stakeholders said Kano and Kaduna were selected as focal states because the challenges they face mirror those in many northern states.
This studies mean in terms of impact and whether it would generate the same effectiveness that we see in Kano and Kaduna states. Theoretically, it's possible, and we hope that today's discussion would continue forwards on how to adapt the learning from Kano and Kaduna states. I mean, already we invited people from Bauchi, from Jigawa, from Katsina, because we don't want these results just to be confined for Kano and Kaduna states. It's a learning circle, and we can now take these lessons and see how we can extend the findings, extend the advocacy to governments in these other states where we haven't accounted for the impact, but we have estimates, at least as a preliminary step to rolling out these interventions.
The program aims to expand its reach across the region to ensure no girl is left behind. Tanti Azal, Trust TV, Abuja.
In Adamawa State, the government is intensifying efforts to open global doors for local businesses to excel. In partnership with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and the World Bank-backed States Action on Business Enabling Reforms, the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industries has launched an exporters certification program in Yola aimed at boosting SMEs for entry into the African Continental Free Trade Area. Trust TV's Gibson Swadigo has the details.
In a gathering that brought together exporters, cooperative groups and key industry stakeholders, the Adamawa State government rolled out a one-day intensive capacity building session focused squarely on preparing local SMEs for continental competition. TACT, strengthening SMEs exporter certification for market access. The program is part of a strategic push to ensure Adamawa's products do not only reach African markets, but meet the strict standards required for seamless export. Declaring the event open, Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Ishaya Dabari, said the state is building a more business-friendly environment where local producers can thrive beyond Nigeria's borders. He stressed that proper certification remains the bedrock for accessing wider markets.
And also it's meant to encourage small-scale businesses to use this opportunity to learn how to do it and participate actively.
On his part, Dr. Bello Abubakar Song, SABA FOCA person, explained that the initiative is in line with ongoing World Bank reforms designed to simplify and strengthen the ease of doing business across the state. He describes certification as a game changer for SMEs seeking to break into the AFCFTA marketplace.
The government has provided the funding for the registration fee, and currently the numbers have moved from what we had before to about 150. So it's a very remarkable achievement.
Also speaking, the Director General of PAWECA, Michael Zira, alongside the NEPC Regional Coordinator Ben Anani, underscored the need to support women in youth-led enterprise, saying they remain key drivers of export diversification.
And this will certainly help those people that are serious, that had gotten the certificate today. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry have done very well by doing that.
They should please take a step forward to see how practical this thing can be done, because export need a lot of procedures and guidance.
The event rounded off with the presentation of exporter certificates to registered cooperative societies, making a significant step in Adamawa's drive to expand its footprint in African trade. Gibson Soadugu, Trust TV News, Yola.
Nigeria's Minister of Education, Maruf Tunji, has called on other state governments to emulate Borno State Governor Zulum's achievements in security, infrastructure and human capital development, particularly in education. He made the remarks during the commissioning of mega schools in the Kuluguma and Kaleri communities in Maiduguri. Trust TV's Bitrus Kurutsi reports.
This was the first courtesy call by the Minister of Education to Governor Zulum at the State Government House in Maiduguri. He lauded the governor for the state's transformation in health, food security, and social protection initiatives.
I'm the Minister of Education and the Chief Education Officer for the country. I'm like the Principal General for the country. I was humbled yesterday. I was blown away with the schools, with the quality of primary schools in Borno State, quality of junior secondary schools in Borno State.
The state government has invested about 28 billion naira in education infrastructure across all the 27 local government areas in the state. 2 of these projects are among those scheduled for commissioning today. Since near 2023, we have also prioritized strengthening of our teaching workforce with an investment of 4 billion naira in teacher training. This effort included the comprehensive verification and professionalization exercise, the recruitment of 4,000 qualified teachers, and the provision of large-scale training for over 11,000 basic level teachers. The state implemented the minimum wage promptly and improved teacher welfare through measures such as rural posting allowances, construction of teachers' quarters across territorial zones, and the settlement of outstanding gratuities.
The duo then commissioned the Kulugumna Mega Primary School, the Government Day Secondary School in Kaleri, and the Federal Government School in Garanam, funded by the Islamic Development Bank. The schools are equipped with modern learning facilities, including libraries, laboratories, and sports facilities. They comprised 48 and 60 classrooms, respectively. Governor Zulum highlighted his administration's achievement, including the implementation of the minimum wage, recruitment of teachers, and the establishment of schools across the state. He reiterated that his government will continue to make education accessible to the people.
Borno State government is ready to align with the policy objectives of the federal government in order to enhance education in Nigeria. The Almajiri Commission Executive Secretary is here with us. Although the Commissioner for Education has mentioned it to the hearing of the public, but I also want to re-announce it now that Borno State government has so far constructed about 21 mega high Islamic schools in Borno, in all the 27 local government areas. The governor is not only building schools, he's also investing in building primary care, general hospitals, also social protection program. I said all these three things: education, health, and social safety. This is the bedrock of human capital development. And when you invest in human capital development, that is the rock of any society.
The governor added that he is ready to align with federal government policies and objectives to further enhance education in Nigeria. Beatrice Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
We're going to business. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has warned residents of Osun State against panic buying or storing petrol at home as the Yuletide approaches. Speaking with journalists in Osogbo on Thursday, the NMDPRA coordinator in the state, Kunle Adeyemo, also cautioned petroleum marketers against hoarding, diversion and other sharp practices during the festive period. Adeyemo assured residents that Osun has sufficient petroleum product supply to meet demand before, during and after Christmas. He warned that storing petrol at home poses a major fire hazard and could lead to loss of lives and property. The agency, he added, has intensified monitoring and surveillance of filling stations to ensure compliance with safety, quality and quantity standards. Adeyemo further stressed that any marketer caught hoarding products, adjusting pumps or engaging in adulteration will face sanctions. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has delisted all legacy bureau de change operators that failed to meet its new licensing requirements, effectively ending their operations in the country. The development was disclosed in a frequently asked questions document on BDC reforms published on the CBN's website recently. According to the Apex Bank, any operator that did not comply by the end of November is no longer recognized. This follows the CBN's announcement that only 82 BDCs successfully met the new guidelines and have been issued fresh licenses. Under the revised BDC framework, existing operators were initially given 6 months from 3rd June to 3rd December 2024 to meet the new regulatory conditions. The CBN later granted an additional 6-month extension, which expired on June 3rd, 2025. The CBN also confirmed it will continue to receive applications through its licensing, approval and request portal with qualified promoters eligible for licensing. However, it maintained that it reserves the right to suspend BDC licensing at any time. Away from Nigeria, over in East Africa, M23 fighters combed the streets of Uvira in eastern DR Congo on Thursday, searching for remaining enemy combatants a day after seizing key parts of the city near the Burundi border. Local civil society groups say businesses have remained shut for days with only a few motorcycles on the roads as sporadic gunfire continued. Around 10 bodies were recovered from the streets between Wednesday and Thursday, according to witnesses. Backed by Rwanda, the M23 is now moving to secure neighborhoods where armed militia groups are believed to be hiding, just as it did in Goma and Bukavu earlier this year. Uvira's City Hall, the provincial governor's office and the border post to Burundi all fell on Wednesday after Congolese forces abandoned their positions. By Thursday, the city was largely without power, leaving residents dependent on battery-powered phones to communicate with the outside world. It's time for sports news with Adeniyi Ajishafe.
Nigeria has begun its campaign at the 4th African Youth Games in Luanda, Angola on a bright note, recording early victories and securing qualification spots across events. Action on day one saw Nigeria deliver an impressive performance in table tennis in the boys singles. Nigeria defeated Ethiopia 3-0 to secure a place in the round of 32. The girls singles team equally dominated, finishing at the top of Group 4 and advancing to the round of 32 ahead of their counterparts from Madagascar and Ghana. As the games progress into day 2, attention turns to badminton team event, where Nigeria is set to compete in the semi-finals. With a strong start and a clear pathway to the final, hopes are high that Team Nigeria will continue to build on this early success to make impact at the game. And still in sport, Match day 3 of the 2025-2026 Nigerian Women's Football League NWFL produced another round of 3D performances, with Group B leaders FC Robo Queens of Lagos maintaining their perfect start to the campaign. Robo Queens extended their flawless run at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos, defeating Delta Queens 2-0 to make it 3 wins from 3 matches and remaining only one of 2 clubs yet to concede this season. Second half strikes from Rodia Yusuf in the 58th and Tosin Rafiu in the 58th ensure the Lagos side preserve both their perfect defensive and winning record. Following the defeat of Delta Queens in the hand of FC Robo Queens of Lagos, Delta Queens FC coach Dudu acknowledged errors that led to the loss, emphasizing the need for improvement. Delta Queens played well in the first half, restricting FC Robo to just a clear chance. Unfortunately, the team fell in the second half. Delta Queens FC with a point 8 in Group B table of the NWFL Premier League, while FC Robo sit top on the log. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And that's a wrap on News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news programs, documentaries, and do what for us on social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. On behalf of the news production team, thank you for joining us tonight. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Good night.